I have to be honest with you. When you first handed me this stack of papers, I really thought you were playing a prank on me.
I get that a lot, actually.
I mean, I'm looking at a performance work statement from the Department of the Navy. It's dated February 19th, 2026, and it is just thick,
Very thick.
dense, and full of the kind of acronyms that usually just make my eyes glaze over instantly. It looks like a receipt for the world's most boring office supply purchase.
Right, but you know I insisted that buried in there is...
You called it a revolution.
It absolutely is a revolution. And look, I know it looks like dry bureaucracy.
Okay.
You've got the standard government font, the legal warnings, all the works.
Yeah, it's not exactly a beach read.
No, definitely not. But if you actually read the lines and read between the lines, this isn't just a receipt, it's a blueprint.
Okay, a blueprint for what exactly?
We are looking at the architectural drawings for how the U.S. Navy plans to operate its entire digital brain for the next 5 to 7 years.
That is a massive claim. Because we aren't just talking about upgrading to Windows 12 here, are we?
No. We are talking about a fundamental shift in how the military handles information.
Right.
This document covers everything from the unclassified email a sailor sends to their mom all the way up to the targeting data on a destroyer.
Wow.
And even the top-secret nuclear propulsion schematics for a submarine. And the Navy is admitting right here in the text that the old way of doing things is completely over.
By old way, you mean the servers and basements and isolated networks and all that?
Exactly. The heavy iron. They are moving to the cloud.
Okay, so the cloud, we hear that term constantly. But for the Navy, that feels, I don't know, a little scary.
It's a huge leap.
I mean, if you or I put our photos in the cloud and we get hacked, we lose some vacation pics. If the Navy gets hacked, well, that's a very different Tuesday.
That is exactly the tension this document is trying to resolve. It's technically a sources sought notice combined with a work statement.
So it's basically a help wanted ad.
Precisely. The Navy is putting out a call saying we need a massive team of experts to manage our transition to a zero-trust cloud architecture.
And this is for a specific time frame, right?
Yes. They need this digital brain to be run by this partner from 2027 all the way through 2032.
Let's dig into that phrase you just used. Zero trust. I saw that plastered all over the document. It sounds incredibly paranoid, like we literally don't trust anyone. Is that the actual official policy now?
It's not just paranoia, it's a survival strategy. Think about how network security used to work. It was essentially like a medieval castle.
Okay, I like this analogy.
You had a moat and a drawbridge. That was your firewall and your password.
Right.
Once you crossed the drawbridge and got inside the castle, the system just assumed you were a good guy. You could roam the halls, open doors, look in the pantry.
Right, because I have the badge.
Yeah.
I'm an insider, so I'm safe.
Exactly. But zero trust assumes the castle has already been breached.
Oh, wow.
It assumes there are spies in the kitchen and saboteurs in the library. So under this model, even if you are inside the castle, every single time you try to open a door, a guard stops you and asks to see your ID again.
That sounds completely exhausting for the user.
It creates a lot of friction, yes. But looking at the modern threats the Navy faces today...
State-sponsored hackers and insider threats and all that.
Right. They have to assume the network is hostile territory, even on the inside. The document explicitly says the architecture must support robust authentication, device hardening, and the reduction of the overall attack surface.
So it's verifying every user, every device, every single request.
Constantly.
So if I'm a sailor on a ship and I want to open a standard file, the system is basically interrogating me in the background.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't trust you just because you logged in this morning.
I want to get into the specific impact levels because that part of the deep dive really surprised me. The document mentions transitioning from legacy systems to things called Flank Speed and Nautilus.
Right. Flank Speed is their cloud infrastructure, and Nautilus is the endpoint management.
Got it. And within that, there's this jargon about IL5 and IL6. I'm guessing those aren't aisle numbers in a warehouse.
Yeah. No, those are Department of Defense classifications for data sensitivity. And this is where the rubber meets the road for that cloud fear you brought up earlier.
Okay, break that down for us.
IL5 is for Controlled Unclassified Information, CUI. Think personnel records, financial data, internal memos.
Things that aren't top secret, but you definitely don't want them posted on Wikipedia.
Exactly, standard sensitive stuff. But IL6, that is the secret level.
Okay, this is the big stuff.
The document says this environment is for information that, if compromised, could pose serious damage to national security interests.
Like operational plans?
Operational plans, intelligence reports, and yes, that nuclear propulsion info.
Yeah.
And the Navy is moving all of this data into a commercial cloud environment.
Wait, hold on a second. Commercial cloud? You mean like Microsoft or Amazon?
Precisely.
That seems wild to me. The primary platform mentioned is Microsoft Azure, right?
Yes, Azure is the primary, but the contract explicitly demands a multi-cloud approach. It specifically lists Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Oracle.
So they need the contractor to be cloud agnostic.
Exactly. They have to be able to bounce between them.
But again, we are putting national secrets on the same corporate infrastructure that hosts, I don't know, a startup's food delivery app.
It's a highly segregated, highly secured version of that infrastructure, but fundamentally, yes, that's the reality now.
Why not just build their own massive Navy server farm?
Because the Navy realizes it cannot build better servers than Amazon or Microsoft. The tech giants have the scale and the massive R&D budgets.
So the Navy is pivoting to using that scale, but wrapping it in the zero trust armor we talked about.
That's a great way to put it. They are renting the hardware, but they're bringing their own incredibly heavy locks.
Let's talk about the people who actually have to manage those locks. Because I was scrolling through Section 5, the scope of work, and I looked at the personnel requirements.
It's a very specific list.
Yeah, there's a list of 16 specific job titles. And some of them sound like standard IT, system administrator, project manager too.
Yeah.
But then I saw electronic spillage.
Yes, Section 5.6.5.
Electronic spillage. It sounds like someone knocked over a latte on a server rack. But reading the description, it sounded way more intense than that.
It is a terrifying term if you work in defense. Spillage isn't liquid, it's data.
So what exactly is spilling?
It's what happens when classified information accidentally spills onto an unclassified network.
How does that even happen in a secure environment?
Human error, usually. Imagine you're an intelligence analyst. You're rushing to get a report out to your commander.
Right.
You have a secret document open on one screen, and you accidentally drag and drop a paragraph from it into an email on the unclassified network. Or you plug a secret hard drive into an unclassified laptop.
Click.
Yeah.
Done. And now it's out there on the wrong network.
And instantly you have a massive crisis. You have effectively contaminated the unclassified network with a virus of secret information.
Because if that email auto-syncs to the commercial cloud...
It's spreading. If someone forwards it, it's spreading.
So what does this contractor actually do? The document says they have to execute containment, remediation, and reporting.
Think of it like a digital hazmat team. The spillage team has to immediately isolate the affected systems. They might literally have to cut network connections.
Just pull the plug.
Sometimes, yes. Then comes remediation, which is the scrubbing. They have to go into the hard drives and digitally shred that file so it is completely unrecoverable.
And if they can't be sure they got it all...
Sometimes they have to physically destroy the hardware.
They literally smash the computer.
If necessary, yes. They melt it down. And then comes the reporting, which is basically a forensic autopsy of who made the mistake and how to stop it from ever happening again.
That puts a whole new spin on IT support. It's not just, have you tried turning it off and on again? It's step away from the keyboard and put your hands where I can see them.
Basically. And look at the clearance levels required for these jobs.
Yeah, I noticed that. The project manager, too, needs to manage over 30 people, and they need a secret clearance.
Right. But look at position number 3. The Conditional Access Policy Administrator.
I saw that one. Top secret clearance required. Tier 5 investigation.
Because that person holds the keys to the kingdom. They are the ones actually configuring those zero trust policies. They decide who gets in and who gets blocked.
So if a bad actor got that specific job...
They could either lock the Navy entirely out of its own ships or just let the enemy walk right in the front door.
It's literally the God mode of the network.
Exactly. That's why the vetting for these roles is so extreme. You also have roles like the e-discovery administrator handling FOIA requests and capstone requirements.
Basically the legal archivists of the cloud.
Right. They have to find needles in a massive digital haystack when the lawyers come calling.
I want to shift gears to the geography of this whole operation, because when you and I think of the cloud, we think of it floating in the ether. But the document lists the place of performance as the Naval Network Warfare Command in Suffolk, Virginia.
Yes, but then it talks about Oconus and afloat.
Right, outside the continental U.S. and afloat, which means ships at sea.
Ships, submarines, aircraft carriers, and this is honestly the hardest challenge in the entire contract.
Why is that?
Because connecting an office building in Virginia to the cloud is easy. You have fiber optic cables in the ground. But how do you connect a destroyer in the middle of the North Atlantic that's pitching in 20-foot waves to that same exact cloud?
I assume satellites.
Satellites, yes, but satellites move in orbit. The ship moves in the water. The weather interferes. The document gets very specific here about SD-WAN.
Software-defined wide area network.
Right, and it lists specific metrics they have to track, like latency, jitter, and throughput.
Okay, I know jitter from gaming. If my internet jitter is high, my character teleports around the screen and I lose the match.
Now imagine that instead of a video game, it's a missile defense system or a real-time tactical map of a combat zone.
Oh, that is terrifying.
If the jitter is too high, meaning the data packets are arriving at irregular intervals, the information essentially becomes garbage. You cannot have a commander looking at a screen that is 5 seconds behind reality because of lag.
So the contractor isn't just managing server space. They are fighting the actual physics of the connection.
Exactly. They have to optimize that traffic on the fly so that the most critical data, the shoot command, gets through instantly, even if the connection is terrible.
While maybe pausing the less important stuff like routine emails.
Exactly. Prioritization is everything.
That really explains the mission essential clause I found in section 14.0. It was pretty dramatic for a contract. It listed hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, and man-made disasters.
Right.
It effectively said, we don't care if the world is ending outside, the wash floor must be staffed.
At least 25% manning minimum at all times. The network simply cannot go down. Even if that building in Suffolk is completely surrounded by floodwaters, someone has to be in that chair.
It really underscores the stakes here. This isn't corporate IT where if the system goes down on Sunday, you just fix it Monday morning over coffee.
No. If this network goes down, ships lose their eyes and ears. They become isolated targets.
It's life or death IT.
It literally is.
There was one detail in the government furnished equipment section, section 6.3, that honestly made me chuckle at first, but then I realized how serious it was. The government provides the desk, the chair, the computers, but it explicitly says no cellular phones.
0. None allowed.
And absolutely no connecting personal devices to the Navy Marine Corps Intranet, the NMCI.
This goes back to the SCIF culture, the Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility.
Right, the secure rooms.
You cannot bring a listening device, which is exactly what a smartphone is, into a room where top secret operations are happening.
Right.
And you certainly cannot plug your personal iPhone into a Navy computer just to charge your battery.
Has that actually happened?
Oh, it happens all the time in the civilian corporate world. But in this environment, that is a massive security breach.
Because an unverified device is a threat vector under zero trust.
Exactly. The phone could be compromised. It could be siphoning data over a cellular network right past the firewall.
So imagine the culture shock for a young recruit or a fresh contractor straight out of college. You walk into work and you have to leave your digital limb, your phone, in a lockbox outside.
You are completely disconnected from your personal life for 8, 10, maybe 12 hours a shift.
Talk about withdrawal, but it makes sense.
Sure.
If you are fighting for absolute zero trust, you cannot trust an iPhone.
Not even a little bit.
I want to look at the future tech mentioned in the background section. Section 5 mentions artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and ML. Is the Navy actually using AI to run this, or is this just buzzword bingo to make the contract look modern to the higher-ups?
It is definitely more than buzzwords, but maybe not in the sci-fi way people think. They aren't building a Terminator here.
Good to know.
The PWS explicitly mentions using AI and ML to maximize efficiencies across tenants and improve resiliency.
So we're talking about boring AI.
I prefer vital AI. Think back to that electronic spillage problem or the network jitter on the ship in the storm. A human administrator cannot physically watch every single data packet flow across a global network 24/7. But an AI can. It can learn what normal traffic looks like.
And then it spots the anomaly.
Right. If suddenly a printer in Guam starts trying to download a terabyte of classified data from a server in London at 3 in the morning, the AI spots that pattern instantly and flags it as an attack.
So it's automated defense.
Yes. It's about modernizing their cybersecurity posture so they can roll out updates as fast as a tech startup. Feature rollouts are explicitly mentioned in Section 5.3.7.
That connects to another term I saw in there, HCI, or hyper-converged infrastructure. The document talks about bringing cloud computing to the edge.
The edge is the ship, or the Marine unit out in the field. HCI is fascinating. It is basically shrinking a massive data center down into a ruggedized box that you can carry or bolt into a submarine.
So it's a mini cloud.
Ideally, yes. The goal is to give that ship its own local cloud computing capabilities.
So let's say the satellite link does go down. The ship is completely cut off from the main cloud back in Virginia.
With HCI, the ship can still process its own data. It can run its local AI models and continue to fight the ship locally.
It doesn't just turn into a floating brick because the internet is out.
Exactly. It creates massive resiliency. And then when the satellite reconnects, it just syncs all the data back up with the mothership.
This all sounds incredibly expensive and complex. We have been talking mostly about the performance work statement, but there was that second document, the sources sought.
Right.
This implies they haven't actually picked a winner for this contract yet.
No, they haven't. And that is a critical point for anyone following the space. The sources sought notice is market research under NAICS code 518210.
Market research. So the Navy is just asking, does a company actually exist that can pull all of this off?
It's a reality check. They are looking for companies with a top secret facility clearance who can handle everything from the old legacy hardware to this cutting edge multi-cloud AI environment.
And they have deliverables too, right? It's not just doing the tech work.
Oh, the bureaucracy is heavy. The contractor has to submit trip reports, monthly financial reports, maintain a massive configuration management database, or CMDB.
They're asking small businesses and massive defense primes to respond by March 5th, 2026.
That is a very tight turnaround.
It is. It suggests the Navy is in a real hurry. They need this transition to happen right now.
Well, the contract has a base period of 5 years starting February 25th, 2027, with a possible 6-month extension.
That gives them less than a year to vet all these massive companies, award a multi-million or billion-dollar contract, and get this highly cleared team in place.
It feels like a massive pivot. We are essentially watching a giant ship trying to turn on a dime.
And that brings up the biggest risk in my mind when looking at all these documents. It's not really the technology. We have the commercial cloud, we have the AI models, we have zero-trust software ready to go.
What's the real risk, then?
I think it's the people, the human element in all of this.
How so?
Think about all that friction we talked about with the zero-trust castle analogy. Zero-trust inherently slows you down. It challenges you. It requires strict discipline.
No cell phones, constant verification, hardware lockouts.
Right. And you are rolling this out to a massive global organization that is very used to doing things a certain way. You can't just patch a human brain like you patch a server.
That is a profound point. The PWS actually mentions retraining of personnel is a massive part of this transformation. And honestly, that might be the absolute hardest task in this entire stack of papers.
Because if you don't get buy-in,
you have to convince thousands of sailors and contractors that the annoyance of this new security system is actually their shield.
if the culture doesn't embrace zero trust, the users will just find workarounds.
Human nature. They'll write their complex passwords on sticky notes under their keyboards. They'll find ways to bypass the friction just to get their jobs done faster.
And then the drawbridge to the castle is wide open again.
And then the castle is open.
That is a sobering thought to leave you all with. In a world where the Navy assumes no one is safe until verified, and data is constantly flowing between commercial clouds and ships at sea, maybe the biggest challenge isn't writing the software. It's rewriting the mindset.
It almost always is.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating look into a stack of papers I would have normally used to level a wobbly table. It turns out the entire future of naval warfare is hiding in plain sight in a standard performance work statement.
It usually is hiding in the paperwork if you know where to look.
Thanks for guiding us through the nuts and bolts of it. And to everyone listening, thanks for taking the deep dive with us. Next time you complain about your Office two-factor authentication code taking too long to arrive on your phone, just remember, at least you aren't trying to download it on a destroyer in the middle of a hurricane. We will catch you on the next one.